Hi, I'm Peter Cowan, the Bee Whisperer. Welcome to my shop again. I just want to talk a little bit about discussion groups or forums. And I think they're extremely useful. When I started beekeeping, we didn't have that sort of thing, of course, back in the 70s. You had magazines, you had a mentor, or you had books. And then it was pretty much a slow learning process, going sort of one-on-one. But these discussion groups are really, really good in terms of being able to get lots of information or lots of opinions quickly. But there is a real risk with them, and there's a few things about them that kind of frustrate me. The particularly lately, seeing discussion groups going on. I'm a member of several of them in different parts of the world, and the things that I don't like about them is where you can clearly see a few different categories of responses to a question, particularly where there's sort of dogma involved and an agenda involved. These are things that I find particularly frustrating. I'll tell you a bit more about it. So let's take an example. A beginner comes up onto the discussion group with a legitimate beginner's question, that sort of thing. And what you'll often see is you'll get these newbie beekeepers who've just entered beekeeping and they know it all now, and they've got the loudest voice, and they're coming in saying, "This is how you do it." I think they're very proud of themselves for knowing what they've recently learned, and they're becoming zealots, like the rest of us, becoming very passionate about beekeeping. The problem is, I don't think a lot of them have yet understood that there's a lot more ways than one to do it, and often they're giving very bad advice. And what I particularly don't like about it is what they talk as if this is fact, as opposed to this is how I go about it. So beware of that sort of response on these sort of discussion groups. The next would be old school. Now, you don't have many of this anymore, but the old school where this is how we always did it. That sort of thing, Darwin is having an effect on that, because folks who have done it the same way they always used to do it, their bees aren't alive anymore. So basically, that sort of thing is fading out. But it used to be the sort of comments that you'd see back in the day in magazines and that sort of thing. Then there's those. This is the sort of thing that really bugs me, and those with an agenda. Now, all of these comments are usually done with the very best of intentions, and most of them are right under some circumstances, sometimes most circumstances. But where people have an agenda and they're preaching, this is how you should do it, and other ways are wrong, that I don't have time for. I find it extremely frustrating. There are almost as many ways of keeping bees as there are beekeepers. And I think it's the discussion groups the forums opportunity to present lots of experience from other people, and for that beekeeper to make their own choice from it. Then, of course, you've also got things like folks with a chip on their shoulder, where you've got, they may have had a bad experience, and this often applies to things like a breed of bee or a particular type of tool or something. Oh, I tried that, it's absolute crap. Or I tried those bees and they're really aggressive, and you shouldn't touch them, they're absolute rubbish. And again, these folks with the chip on their shoulder about certain issues or tools or types of bee, again, it's frustrates me. But remember, these discussion groups are particularly useful, and my view of how to make best use of those is to get as many opinions as possible. Don't necessarily listen to the loudest and the fast ones on there who say things in a you do things this way, but take a view, step back, Wait until you've got quite a few responses and see what the balance of opinion is there, and particularly where people have liked certain comments and things. And the majority view is usually pretty safe to go with. It's not always right, because the key thing is it needs to be right for the way you keep bees. And I hope that's how you'll be able to use these videos as well. These videos that I'm going to do are not necessarily the right way of doing things for everybody. It is my way of doing things with my bees. And this is what I've been finding works for me. I've been keeping bees since the 70s, so I've picked up a fair amount of experience. I've taken advice from a lot of people, and I'm getting very good results now. And so I hope that you might find that some of the things I do particularly helpful. But do take advice from other people. Put that together and see what works for you. Because in your particular area and your particular way you've got time to manage your bees, the type of bee you've chosen, the type of management strategy you've chosen, will all come down to basically not everybody's advice is going to be very helpful for you. Some people's advice will be very helpful for you. And the same sort of things can be applied to things like clubs and associations. I've had similar experiences with a variety of clubs and associations I've been involved with, and all are very, very helpful. But all of them come with maybe the same sort of warning I would put about forums and discussion groups, and that is beware of dogma and agendas, where people think that you should do things this way, or they've got a particular reason that they want you to do something this way. Maybe there's something in it for them. Maybe they just genuinely think this is the best thing to do. But always bear in mind, take the balance of what you've heard and then see, is that appropriate for me? The one thing I would urge you to say is and the one thing I will preach is, make sure you do keep your mite levels in your hives low. That's probably the one thing that is probably, in my view, the nearest to being able to preach about out there. But do what you find most useful for you. I hope you find this helpful. The aim is for the clubs, for these discussion groups, and for my videos is to help you succeed. I think you also find local clubs in-person contact can be extremely useful. Things like open hive meetings, guest speakers, experienced beekeepers talks. But again, don't necessarily take what you hear at these as being the way to do things. Say, would this work for me? How could I apply what that person's learned to my own type of beekeeping? I'm now the past president of Penobscot County Beekeepers Association, a club we started about 6-7 years ago. Now my friend Amy Nickerson is now president of Penobscot County Beekeepers, and later this week I'm going to do a talk with her and hopefully make a video, and we can talk about what particular clubs can do for you. And I think it's pretty applicable to all sorts of groups and associations. So if you don't have a local club, maybe you'll think about starting one up. I'm Peter Cowan, the Bee Whisperer. I hope you found this useful. If you did, please press subscribe or press like on this video, and please feel free to put comments below so I've got some idea of what you'd like to see more of in the future. Thanks very much. See you next time.